But as you want to see.
All right, so we'll just show that for now. Just
Hold.
and the banner.
Yeah,
Scroll
but I
down.
want to take off the banner.
Just scroll down and then tap it.
Tap. Oh,
Hide.
hide.
What is that?
Steven.
Oh, it's very feeble in itself.
Okay, yeah.
It's feeble bad, so we can't really brush it.
See there? Gone again. Leave it. You want to leave it in the middle or take it off?
Right. Let's make sure it's a YouTube. In terms of audio, you get here.
I was gonna Bluetooth. Can Bluetooth? You want this to still here too?
Just plug that and plug it in the rest of it. You're supposed to hear it like this.
It's so far. Because it's a pick up that one.
Gentlemen, Honorable Minister Smith is in the house, and we're just asking you know that please take your seat as CG Kurt, High Commissioner Lovett, and the team come to the head table. All right, so he's gonna come and do that shortly. Yes. Let's give a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, to Her Excellency, CG, and of course, Minister Honorable Kamina Johnson Smith here in the house with us. We ask you to take your seats so we can get the proceedings underway. On behalf of the team, let me just take up time to
barely after a long day of travel, but she has made it a priority to be with us this evening. Her first stop, having come to Canada for a full program of events, is to have this engagement with the diaspora. So, Minister, warm welcome to you. Of course, want to also warm word of welcome to Toronto, our High Commissioner for Jamaica here, Her Excellency Marshall Colaban. Come on, Toronto, let us be welcome. We would love for her to come to Toronto more often, right? So make her feel welcome. I know that time is far spent, and we have quite a few dignitaries and officials who are here. Especially recognize our representatives from the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council and the Global Jamaica Diaspora Youth Council, the presidents and leaders of our various community organizations and associations across the Greater Toronto area, Hamilton and Niagara Falls, and outside going of Toronto as well. A very warm welcome to you. Thank you so much for being here. I want to make a very special welcome for Mrs. Universe, who's here. Thank you so much for all you're doing and that spirit that I for us. I also want to welcome all of you who are here and to hear what is going on. This is your opportunity. When we are in the consulate, we up here only to talk about this and we want that happen. I will spill a little secret to my boss who is here that most times I say, boy, minister. So it's here for you to be able to tell the minister and of course to hear from her about what exactly is going on. We have so many means of communication. We have social media, WhatsApp, this, that, and so forth. And sometimes the story goes on it only half, and sometimes it doesn't go at all. And I hope you don't mind that I'm making sure to speak in proper Jamaican. Everybody can Understand what I'm saying? When you get it from the horse's mouth, I think that is always the best. So we're very pleased to have the minister here tonight to share this with us. Welcome to everybody. Please feel free to share, feel at home. This is your community. Indian Association for offering their ability to host us, the Caribbean and Jamaican activity here in Toronto. So give it up for the GC. And when you are in the GC's house, you are at home. So with that, I'd like to invite Ms. Rowan, who is one of the Global Diaspora Conference, to come and do the land acknowledgement.
Good evening, everyone. All protocols observed. So I'll do the land acknowledgement first, and then I'll do the African ancestral acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit and the Williams Treaty signed with multiple Mississaugas Chippewa lands. And now the African ancestral acknowledgement. The City of Toronto acknowledges all treaty peoples, including those who came here as settlers, as immigrants in this generation or in generations past, and those who came here involuntarily, particularly as a result of the trans and slavery. We pay tribute to those citizens of Africa, origin and descent. We love you, we honor you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Noel. May I ask you to rise for the singing of the national anthem of Jamaica? And you will all be singing the Consulate General to lead us the singing.
And here's a full clip on how to use your honor citations. It's super easy to use and I love it. AI features can help you brainstorm with initial topics or an article or feedback on your essay. And really helps you make sure that there is no failures of online Your protectors get 16 billion blank pages to ensure you can send your paperweight content. It's amazing and super duper handy. Granted, the master.
Sorry.
That was not the national anthem of Jamaica. I assure you that not hearing the national anthem. But I think we'll be able to go ahead with the national anthem at this point.
Turn on fatherless of man, guide us with thy mighty hand. Keep us free from evil parts. Ye are light to countless hearts. You are leaders, great defender, and to wisdom from above. Thus is truth be us forever, Jamaica, land we love. Jamaica, 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 land we love. Jesus through respect for all, the response to his call. Let us now be. Jamaica, Jamaica, land we
Please, may I ask you to remain standing and invite Bishop Benford Duffus, who is the clergy sector leader on the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council, to lead us in an opening prayer.
Let us pray. Almighty God and our Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for your love and for your mercies. We thank you, Lord, that as a people we could come together to discuss and plan for our future. We pray, oh God, as we come, you will remember those on the island who provide leadership to your people. We ask for your wisdom. We ask for your guidance as they seek to do what is right in you. We ask you, God, that as we deliberate tonight, that you will be with us. You'll guide our thoughts, and Lord, they might be purposeful. We pray also, Lord, that your Holy Spirit will ignite and strain in us to operationalize that which we heard, the good points and the issues that we've raised to the benefit of our people. We ask for a special blessing now upon the time we spend together, for we ask it in your name, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Bishop Duffus. You may be seated. Thank you so much. Great.
The Caribbean and Afro-Canadian community since 1962. Our mission is to deliver programs and services, provide a physical hub, and to advocate to improve the well-being and equity of the Jamaican, Caribbean, and African Canadian communities within the Greater Toronto. One of our most recent endeavors that we participated in fundraising event to assist those affected by Hurricane Beryl. Less than 2 weeks of planning under the guidance of one of our staff members, Dr. Thompson, we were able to stage an evening of entertainment where artists donated their talents, and we were able to raise approximately $18,000. This was a true demonstration of what we can accomplish when we unite our efforts. It further amplifies the altruism that you have not truly lived until you've done something for someone that can never pay you back. We're proud to have numerous members of our association serve as executive members on the Global Diaspora Council. We're equally proud of the numerous successful collaborative initiatives that we have been a part of in an effort to support our brothers and sisters at home and throughout the diaspora. Earlier in June of this year, at the biannual Diaspora Conference in Montego Bay, the Jamaican Canadian Association was recognized for our part in contributing to the conference, a role that we've played since 2004. It was with immense pride and humility that we accepted the plaque we received, and we will continue in our efforts to further strengthen the bond between the Canadian diaspora and Jamaica, land we love. And on a personal note, I was there in June of this year for the Diaspora Conference. It was my first conference. And if there's anybody in this room that has never been to the conference, try and make an effort to go. Try and make an effort to go. The next one will be in 2026, I believe, and I will be there because it was an eye-opening experience for me. It was the first one for me, but the engagement, the connectivity, the exchange of ideas, the opportunities that exist that we might not all be aware of. You know, while we were there was one of the diaspora members from Tanzania, a gentleman, a Rastafarian gentleman, and he got up to speak. I think he had a question to ask, but he refused to use the word diaspora. He said, livaspora, because he's a Rasta man and Rasta will deal with that. And I'm telling you, that little nugget resonated with me because we got to chuckle like you guys are chuckling right now. But the uniqueness of our culture and how enviable it is across the globe. You know, so if you get a chance, please try and make it to the Diaspora Conference. Again, I want to say thank you and welcome to the JCA. I hope we have a spirited and informed engagement at this evening's Townhall. So please make the best of it, ask your questions, enjoy yourselves, and enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Gordon. I'm always so happy to come to the JCA, not just for meetings and formalities like this, but also for all the events and community activities and so forth that are carried out here. And it's no wonder that the JCA was recognized by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for its stellar work over these many years. I don't have to preach about the JCA here tonight to all of you because you are very well aware of the great role that it plays. And that's why, as I said, I pushed my Canada and Toronto group. So when the JCA was the only diaspora organization to be so recognized among all our diaspora locations around the world, this one was the only one. You know how my pride is talking about. So congratulations once again, JCA, and thank you for your partnership, thank you for your commitment, and for all your work in support of our Jamaican community. It gives me good pleasure at this time to invite our High Commissioner, Her Excellency Mrs. Marsha Porter, to come and say her words and introduce the Honorable Minister.
Thank you, CG. Senator the Honorable Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith, Consul General Mr. Kurt. Can you hear me now? All right. Senator the Honorable Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith, Consul General Mr. Kurt Davis, members of the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council and the Global Jamaica Diaspora Youth Council, as well as other members of our small planning committee. And I have to single out because we had to pull together some members to help us to pull this event together in a week. So thank you. Community leaders, presidents, and heads of various diaspora organizations across Canada and other distinguished diasporans, families, friends, those here in person and those online, as well as the staff from both the High Commission and Consulate. Good evening, bonsoir. I'm trying to get my French together. I am delighted to join my colleagues in extending a very warm welcome to all who are with us for this Diaspora Town Hall event. Many thanks to the Jamaican Canadian Association for hosting us this evening, and for the members of the diaspora here in the GTA who came together to assist with the preparations. Deepest appreciation as well must be extended to our honored consuls and community leaders in other provinces for helping us to spread the word about the engagement. I know we have persons online watching from YouTube. We are truly happy and honored to see so many members of our diaspora gathered here today. Your presence in person and online reflects the strong bonds of mutual interest and shared values that connect to us as Jamaicans, no matter where we are in the world. The Consul General and I are honored to serve this awesome, trailblazing, and dynamic diaspora community here in Canada. We look forward to working closely with you, with the community across the length and breadth of this country to further strengthen and deepen the amazing partnership which exists here in the months and years ahead. I am very mindful that we are very late, and I have some persons from WhatsApp the minister because there's a hard line. We're starting on time, and we're not waiting on anyone. And for us to be the late ones is really bad. So, Chief Darby, yes, you won. And Ms. Elba, I haven't been able to recognize you yet, but I will find you. But we want to just again apologize. Minister left first thing this morning on the first flight. She got in here about 3 o'clock, and by the time Toronto traffic to the hotel, we had to do a quick spin around and head back. And when we got out, which was minutes to 4, we saw we weren't going to get here in time. And so Minister and we experienced the true traffic. So again, I apologize, and I will go straight into the introduction of my minister. Fellow diasporans, today we have the distinct privilege of welcoming back Senator the Honorable Kamina Johnson-Smith, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade to Toronto, Canada. Minister Johnson-Smith is no stranger to Canada, having visited on several occasions in the past, last of which was in October 2023 for the CARICOM Canada Summit in Ottawa. And Minister was just reminding me that she did the electric boogie here some years ago. For those viewing online from the other provinces, yes, I hear the questions coming in. Minister is looking forward to visiting with the diaspora communities in those provinces in the near future. Right, Minister? Ladies and gentlemen, Minister Johnson-Smith has a very extensive and impressive resume, which I will try to summarize, but urge you to visit the ministry's website, or if you just log on, to read her full biography. On 7 September 2020, Minister Johnson-Smith was reappointed as Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, as well as leader of government business in the Jamaican Senate. Notably, she is Jamaica's first female Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, and the first born after the nation's independence. No, the longest. In her role as Foreign Minister, she has represented Jamaica and the region at numerous bilateral, regional, hemispheric, and international fora. She has reaffirmed Jamaica's commitment to multilateralism and a principle-based foreign policy, ensuring that it is pursued in alignment with Jamaica's national development goals and the country's role as a good global citizen. Her dedication and commitment to excellence has strengthened Jamaica's presence and impact on the global stage, contributing to important global efforts to build peace and security, foster respect for human rights, and promote a strong and fair multilateral trading system. In her capacity as leader of business in the Senate, Minister Johnson Smith has led more than 115 debates, leading to the passage of 69 statutes and 48 resolutions across government portfolios, ranging from the establishment of states of public emergency to curb the country's murder rate, the modernization of corporate partnership and trust laws, as well as intellectual property frameworks. The strengthening of laws addressing AML, CFT frameworks, which is within the financial architecture, data protection, public procurement, road safety, building and land titling, as well as reforms to the justice system and the fight against human trafficking. She has also made significant contributions as a member of joint select committees reviewing laws related to violence against women and children and the legal framework to establish the independence of the central bank. Senator Johnson Smith is an attorney at law who worked previously in private practice and as corporate in-house counsel. She holds a Bachelor of Arts in French from the University of the West Indies Mona campus, a Bachelor of Laws from the University of the West Indies Cave Hill campus, and a Master's of Laws in Commercial Law from the London School of Economics and Political Science. She is a graduate of the Norman Manley Law School, where she was valedictorian and the recipient of awards in legal remedies and advocacy. She was called to the bar in Jamaica in 1999. Highly committed to public service and volunteerism, the minister has also served in various capacities in other areas of political leadership and philanthropy. Minister Johnson Smith was born in St. Andrew, Jamaica, and is married. She enjoys reading, yoga, and jogging. She believes passionately that Jamaica's best days still lie ahead and is committed to playing her part in seeing them realized, and she's following in her father's footsteps. Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored at this time to invite my boss, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade of Jamaica, to address our diaspora community.
Thank you so very much, High Commissioner. I note that you have invited people to visit the website, but I think we're good. Thank you for your kind introduction. I usually ask to not do lengthy introductions, but the good faith in which they're extended is always so warmly welcome. I really appreciate your kind words. Your Excellency, Marsha Corlaban, High Commissioner of Jamaica to Canada. Mr. Kurt Davis, Consul General of Jamaica here at Toronto, members of the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council and the Global Jamaica Diaspora Youth Council, members of civil society, academia, and other organizations, stakeholders in the Jamaican community, members of the executive of the Jamaican Canadian Association, thank you so very much for hosting us once more, for allowing us to be here. And yes, I remember the electric boogie, and Dr. Thompson was here, was right in that corner. And that's just one of several opportunities that I had to be here at the Canadian Association, Jamaican Canadian Association, over my tenure. And those were mostly in the earlier years as well. It was a pleasure. Let me just also salute all heads and members of Jamaican associations here. One of the beautiful elements of our diaspora is the opportunity for people to gather and associate and to form themselves into groupings with goals and aims, many times not only supporting members of your own community here, but supporting communities at home. Welcome to all of you. Members of staff of the High Commission and members of staff of the Consulate, fellow Jamaicans, all ladies and gentlemen, and the friends and family that are here with you. Welcome to you this afternoon. I want to thank you for taking the time to be here after what was undoubtedly a long work day. And if you had any of the traffic that I had coming here, I thank you extra. Thank you extra. I didn't have the opportunity to turn back. I was not driving, but you all did, and you made a choice to come here, and I want to just express appreciation for that. It really is a delight and a pleasure to be here with you and to be here in this beautiful city, which is home to so many Jamaicans, one of our largest diaspora populations across the world. I think we look at the fact that you are Jamaicans here. We have Jamaican born, we have adopted Jacadians. That's a term that hasn't quite caught on like Americans. Dr. Simpson will work on a cool term. But also people who just love to associate with Jamaica and all that Jamaica is. I think it's wonderful to see how positive brand Jamaica is here in Canada and is here in Toronto. And it is indeed a testament to the work that all of you do and every day how you represent our beautiful country. For my part, it is and remains a great privilege to serve my country as a member of the Senate and as a member of the Cabinet of Prime Minister Holness. The government takes seriously our responsibility to engage and to serve each and every Jamaican at home and abroad, from every walk of life across all generations, so that we leave a solid and sustainable legacy for future generations as we all go from pace to pace. A very important dimension of my responsibility is clearly to ensure positive engagement with our diaspora, sincere and effective engagement with the diaspora, recognizing the vital role that you play in securing Jamaica's future. So I want to express a special thanks, gratitude, in fact, to High Commissioner Corloban and to Consul General Davis for the work that they have done. I want to thank the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council and the JCA and the members of the Canadian leadership and other stakeholders who have worked together to extend such warm hospitality and for organizing this meeting here. Again, your participation demonstrates your unwavering love for Jamaica and how important it is you find it to continue to engage and to hear about what's happening at home. Ladies and gentlemen, as we gather here in Toronto, we acknowledge Canada's significance as a diasporic location, and I am reminded of the profound impact that our community has had on all aspects of Canadian society, in academia, governance, entrepreneurship, from prestigious universities to the chambers of the Canadian Senate, from boardrooms of innovative enterprises to corridors of power, to supporting organizations of every size and form, fostering innovation, nurturing the next generation of leaders, caring for those who are in need. Trailblazers all. We have had many Jamaicans honored by both the Jamaican and Canadian governments who have not only promoted brand Jamaica, but embodied the very essence of what it is to be Jamaican and to be a global citizen. Their success is Jamaica's success, and we celebrate not only their personal achievements as collective victories for our nation, but as beacons of inspiration for generations to come. And I want to just mention briefly, if you will allow me, a few recent congratulations, or rather recent reasons for congratulations that I wish to offer today. To Dr. Pamela Appelt and Ms. Lily Johnson, who were both conferred with the Order of Canada this year. The three Jamaicans who received the Order of Toronto, Dr. Gervan Ferron, Dr. Ho Ping Kong, and Mr. Dwayne Morton. Those who were recently appointed as chancellors, Mr. Wes Hall and Dr. Donette Chinloy Chang at the University of Toronto and Toronto Metropolitan, respectively. They now join Marianne Chambers, making 3 Jamaican-born persons now currently serving as university chancellor. We have high five. I want to also recognize those who have been accorded national honors. by the government of Jamaica, Dr. Howard Shearer, who will receive honors in October, Ms. Mary Bishop, and Bishop Professor Dr. Randolph Henry. I want to recognize, celebrate, and congratulate them all. And clearly I could go on because there are a broad spectrum. There is a broad spectrum, but of course, I've just recognized these most recent honors which have been awarded. Ladies and gentlemen, I remind that my visit to this wonderful city is by invitation of the Government of Canada to co-chair a Women Foreign Ministers meeting together with my counterpart, the Honorable Melanie Joly. This meeting, which is scheduled for tomorrow and the day after, will be a valuable opportunity for global collaboration. I made a special effort to ensure that I came in early enough to have this meeting with you today. And because I think it's important that in the context of outreach, we ensure that we engage wherever it is possible. But so as usual, I'm making the best use possible of travel. And again, very happy to be here. Apart from the Women Foreign Ministers meeting, I'll also be engaging in bilateral discussions, so about Jamaica-Canada cooperation with Minister Joly in the Foreign Affairs realm, but also with Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship, Mr. Mark Miller, as well, the Honorable Mark Miller, and the Minister of International Development, the Honorable Ahmed Hussein. So there's a really broad scope of engagement that's taking place over the next 3 days. And I'm confident that we will have positive developments coming out of them. We know in foreign affairs, things don't happen overnight, but it is always important to engage even with relationships that are as long and strong as those between Jamaica and Canada, Canada being one of the earliest countries to enter into diplomatic relations with our country. There's always room to do more, to build more, to modernize the way and what we do together. And it is hopeful, or rather we're quite confident that this trip will help in that process. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Jamaicans, let me also, on behalf of the government and people of Jamaica, express our deep appreciation for your prompt and effective response following the devastating impact of Hurricane Beryl, especially in the parishes of St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, and Hanover. I want to express thanks, special thanks to those of you who not only organized, but participated and supported in any small way the concert which took place to provide funds, as Mr. Gordon just shared. $18,000 was raised by the fundraising concert. Artists gave up their time, people came and demonstrated solidarity. Through the efforts of patriotic community organization, again, solidarity was demonstrated. I want to name in particular the GJDC, the GJDYC, the Jamaica Canadian Association, the Alliance of Jamaican Alumni Associations, Big Seven Promotions, Caribbean Queen Jerk, and Reggae North. I thank all of you for giving what you can, for even where that is of your time and your service. It is truly appreciated. We also want to express appreciation to the tremendous support provided by Food for the Poor Canada, which raised over $90,000 to support recovery efforts as well. And yes, definitely. And the Honorable Michael Leachin, who also graciously spearheaded an initiative which saw the NCB Foundation matching financial contributions made otherwise to the recovery effort. Just to speak a little bit about Beryl, I'm not sure how closely some of you follow. Minister Charles Jr., who is the Minister of Labour and Social Security, gave an update to Parliament yesterday, sometimes it's a blur, yesterday, Tuesday, where he spoke about the number of homes that have been assessed, just over 14,500 homes, which have now been assessed, because remember, the support that is provided must follow an assessment process. There's a standard tool that's used by ODPEM and the Ministry of Labour and Social Security to ensure that people who need it most are the people who get it, and the people's receipts are proportionate to the type of damage which they have sustained. So not only has the Ministry of Labor and Social Security been working with ODPEM to ensure that humanitarian and housing grants, reconstruction, rebuilding grants are provided to households. They've also been partnering with the World Food Program, which has also been helping, particularly with households with very young children, 0 to 6. And there's another set of grants with persons living with disabilities, as well as families which have elderly persons who are particularly vulnerable. We've also been working with the UN, UNDP, UNICEF, and UNESCO, as well as the UN Housing Agency, working again on systems to not only ensure that persons in need now post-burial receive support, but that we also have systems in place to allow for us to be even more resilient and more responsive when the next disaster strikes. We know in the Caribbean, it is not if, it is when. And we have to always be preparing. We have to whistle and ride. While we're dealing with reconstruction, we're also dealing with resilience building and looking at how we can improve our systems. So that is also another process underway. Just to also remind, we had more than 300 schools damaged, and these had to be put in 3 priority levels in terms of the type of repairs that they needed to ensure that schools could reopen in September. I'm really pleased to say that all schools are open. Some have had to include some modalities like being in church halls while the rest of the roofing is completed, or part virtual, or half school is in while part of the school is being reconstructed. But the work is underway. Emergency work has been contracted, and there's a robust and transparent system around all of the support that is being funneled into burial. And those, of course, will be reported on in the, not only in the reports to Parliament brought by ministers, but in the budget, supplementary budget, when it will be presented. All of these funds go to the consolidated fund. As you would know, there's an ODPEM account to which all monies go, and to ensure that there's a standard way in which their distribution takes place. So I want you to know this so that you can have trust and faith in the process, which is a deeply credible and long-standing one, which we continue to try to improve from time to time as we have this time. I want to also mention our fishers and farmers, because one of the critical things has been not only getting our children back into school and getting houses or persons in families restored in terms of their normalcy, but getting our farmers back to planting has been critical. Getting planting material, fertilizers, seeds, and even small layers, etc., out to farmers has been a major program that has been on the way. Getting our fishers back on the sea and into aquaculture again has also been on the way. There's been rehabilitation of fishing beaches, as well as support given to fishing families for their own restoration and to get our boats and other equipment repaired and replaced where it has been necessary. So the burial response has been significant, and I wanted to share that with you because your contribution has been a part of that. So we thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to just refer again to Diaspora Conference, the formal part of engagement. Last year, you had your Diaspora Conference here, your regional one, which was very positive. I didn't personally feel the passion, I heard about it. But I know that it was a vibrant and very positive conference, which fed in to the planning for the conference, which just took place in June of this year. So I want to congratulate you on the work that you did in your 23 conference, because it is the work that happens in between that really does help to make the biennial conferences particularly successful. So I congratulate you on keeping the work going. In June, the conference was held under the theme Uniting for Jamaica's Transformation, fostering peace, productivity, and youth empowerment. And with your support, it was the largest and most successful conference to date. It was the big tent. So Mr. Gordon, you got a big one. You got a particularly big one. But he's not wrong when he said, if you haven't experienced it yet, you should. And we do plan to make 2026 good as well, even though it's number 11, which is not a number that generally gets a lot of attention, but we're going to build on the strengths of this one and make it just as good, or even better. I want to just share, however, that of the nearly 2,200 registrants and over 400 registrants from 18 countries who represented us, we welcomed 71 from Canada, and I think another 67 who joined us virtually from Canada during the official opening, where we heard from the Prime Minister as he delivered the keynote address. And some of you who are here, you can share about the conference, because it really sometimes takes that personal experience to really have you understand. But I liked Mr. Gordon's reference to our Rastafarian brethren who came from Tanzania, because not only did he share his philosophy that we don't speak about dying, we speak about living, which is why it's a living spora, not a diaspora that he came to share with. But one of the great experiences there was that he met a couple that had also just moved home from having lived in North America for years, who were investing in a housing scheme. And he was working in South Africa on material for sustainable construction. And they met at this conference, and they're now going into a sustainable housing development together. So business is done. It's not just conversations. Business actually happens at the conference. And unlikely partners, people who you might not normally meet in your daily engagement, you meet them there from all over. And when you have your common goal, which is about the development of Jamaica land we love, you always find things in common, and where the opportunities are, you can build them. And that is, there is more you will hear about some of the positive stories that came out of that conference, as well as the work that will happen to build on it. I wanted to share, though, that we had 26 formal sessions on a range of issues, and lots of thoughtful insights and contributions were made. The Diaspora Day of Service impacted lives right across the island, although primarily in St. James and the west of the country. But again, I really want to thank you and thank those of you who were part of community development programs and health support programs, because you really did touch lives on Diaspora Day of Service, which is a critical part of our conference. I want to also congratulate the recipients of the 2024 Governor General's Achievement Award from Canada, Mr. Mark Henry and Mr. Steve Gittin. Yes, please give them a round. And add my own personal congratulations to the Jamaica Canadian Association for its Foreign Ministry Award. It is well deserved. And even though C.G. Davis is setting me up for problems when he highlights this particular association, I will say that you are an amazing association. So the award was well deserved. And I'll wait to see what other jurisdiction now nails me up coming from this. But again, it really was, and we commend and appreciate your contributions. And it's all a part of how we deepen our engagement. I wanted to just highlight that we have taken note of some of the matters that you had indicated were of interest to you, and let you know that among the priorities that we're keen to do is to also encourage you to take advantage of the opportunity to claim Jamaican citizenship for your children. Remember, under our Constitution, once you are a descendant, you can claim. And it is a good opportunity to be able to have the benefits of citizenship, investment, and other initiatives as they continue to grow. So we want to just encourage you to do that. And we also want to work harder at the critical consular services that we provide for you here, to make them easier, to make them more efficient, to make some of the services more timely as we leverage technology and use different platforms to connect with different generations of the diaspora as we build a stronger community. I want to note that as the community grows, and we are a small developing country, so we do have small staff, the demands on our small teams here are often, well, they often exceed the capacity of our teams. I want to let you know that we're looking at that, trying to see how we can ensure better staff complements, but also use of technology to work with appointments, etc. The truth is, though, that as the size of the diaspora grows, it is a challenge. So we ask for your patience as we continue to try to do our very best to serve you well. And I know you know that these two persons sitting to my left and their teams really do their very best. So I want to ask you, give them a little patience. I understand we have passport appointments up to January already. I have been engaged with PICA to see how we can have more of their resources exported and placed in locations that are as volume heavy as Toronto, and well, to serve Canada. So we'll have to look, but presumably Toronto. We have started with New York, the rollout of having PICA be physically present, because the truth is, passport and the visa applications they take up so much time of staff that a lot of the other consular work and bilateral engagement work gets deprioritized. But we do, again, try our very best, and we will continue to use technology to do better. We remind you, though, that if you have a machine-readable passport, that's one that was issued after 2010, you can apply online, you can pay with your credit card, you can receive it by DHL, and it happens like clockwork. It's actually quite a good system, and I therefore recommend it to you and encourage you to share that information with friends, that you don't have to come in. You can actually do it online. The system works very well. So at the conference, I wanted to just share that we launched the Jamaica Diaspora Engagement Model Portal, the JAMDEM portal. We're getting mixed feedback on JAMDEM. So we're looking at whether, yes, so we're looking at whether we keep it or whether, we find a way to get more feedback on what another portal name may be. But it's an engagement and investment portal specifically designed for diaspora members, as well as a diaspora registration portal, which is designed to streamline and facilitate access among the diaspora, because we've always spoken about how to help the communities overseas to engage more with each other. How do you know more about the businesses that you can support? How do you know more about the events that are happening? How do you know more about shared goals that you want to coalesce around? And that we have therefore provided this portal with the support of the IDB in order to try to provide a mechanism to help the community to help itself. We actually are working to optimize both of these, and the development partners have actually provided some additional support for us to continue to do that, and we'll be reaching out to get feedback in short order. We also launched the Jamaica Diaspora Mentorship Academy under the leadership of a member of the GJDC based in Europe. And this academy aims to provide virtual mentorship initially to Jamaican students, including students with special needs from across all 14 parishes from grade 6 to 13. The hard launch is going to take place later this year, but the system is in place and the outreach is taking place, and it's something that I think I find very exciting as well. We also launched the Eat Jamaica Day. And Eat Jamaica Day is a global campaign to promote consumption of authentic Jamaican food and produce across the diaspora. It's going to be celebrated on November 25th every year. And this year will have even more importance because it's post-burial Eat Jamaica Day. So we're going to be making sure that we find ways to celebrate our resilience and the resilience of our farmers as we go through. I want to note in particular, just before I move off of the conference, the fact that we had significant youth involvement. Not only from the diaspora, but from young people in Jamaica who came from different youth institutions, youth organizations at the tertiary and secondary level to come and engage. The Youth Innovation Challenge, which was conceptualized and executed by the GJDC, actually celebrated the input of young minds, and it showcased their proposals to common challenges facing mankind. And 3 young people won the challenge. Their ideas were celebrated and awarded with cash prizes, and we look to see how we can build and engage further with these young people. So again, for those of you who did not make it for 2024, and this is really literally the tip of the iceberg. There was so much that was there to experience and that will be there. I encourage you to take your children and your grandchildren and make it a family event. Come home and do the whole island. It is very much worth it. I want to also just broadly share more of some of the positive developments that are happening at home. We've been on a mission to build a caring economy. We want to enhance the lives of Jamaican citizens while remaining fiscally prudent and therefore sustainable. We've been able to present a budget with no new taxes for 7 consecutive years because we have focused on growth and economic stability. It is worthy of applause because, well, we all know about taxes, right? So no new taxes is a good thing. Among the achievements with these no new taxes, which has taken significant strategic and disciplined work. Prior to the pandemic, I remind that we delivered 20 consecutive quarters of economic growth. And this is the longest unbroken period of economic expansion since independence. For the first 6 months of 2024, yes, real GDP is estimated to have grown by almost 1%, but we have had continued growth again since the pandemic. The pandemic broke our stride, but we have fought it back. We continue to enjoy low unemployment. Beryl has contributed to a slight rise. We are at 5.4% now, but if you recall, our record, which was just recent, was at 4.2%, and that's post-pandemic. So this is something, again, very much to be celebrated as we work on creating jobs and opportunities. At the end of 23-24 fiscal year, our debt to GDP ratio was at 72%. And I want to recall that in just the last 10 years, we have cut it in half from 144, actually as high as 147% 2013. So instead of only, paying debt as the primary call on the budget, we have been investing more in essential services and in ensuring that the services that we provide to the people of Jamaica can be expanded and enhanced. And I want to say that this is something which is recognized very positively globally. It is we're now planning to go to the UN next week. That's the next phase of this trip. And the number of organizations, institutions, countries who want to sit with this government to discuss how we have done what we have done in terms of debt management and reform as a small developing country that has survived a crisis that many countries of this world, people lost jobs, businesses went out that have never come back, economies have found themselves more indebted, employment has fallen, or rather unemployment has risen. And Jamaica has the distinction of being a country, one of the very few in the world, that exited the pandemic with lower debt. We now have lower debt than we had before. Our unemployment is lower than we had before. And indeed, we continue to ensure that we grow our economy to do even better for Jamaica. These are things of which we can be proud. We can be very proud. And of course, recognize best practices that can be shared with our brother and sister developing countries as to how it is you can work through crises and chronic economic situations. So I wanted to share, however, though, that economic growth in and of itself has never been a goal of this administration. It has been to be able to deliver more for the people of Jamaica. So for example, we are modernizing the health sector. Because some of these projects take years, it is very difficult when you recognize that with the removal of health fees at the point of care, that changed the health-seeking behavior of Jamaicans. So a lot more Jamaicans now come to hospital that never used to before. This increases pressure. And we have a system that has been underinvested or not invested in for decades. The last hospital that was built in Jamaica was Maypen in 1975. So we understand where we are and what is happening now, however. So we are expanding the primary healthcare system. We've renovated about 100 clinics so that people can access care closer to them. We're building in resilience, so solar, water catchment, and ensuring that there's greater comfort so people can feel comfortable about coming to get care. More doctors and nurses in the community clinics so that, again, people feel that they can get the right care in their communities or close. And this is hopefully going to also reduce some of the pressure on the hospitals. At the same time, we're entirely renovating and reconstructing Cornwall Regional Hospital. I know sometimes people hear about this, that the figure is what was it I heard the other day? $21 billion of corruption and whatever. When the problem at Cornwall was first recognized, it was estimated at maybe 2 to 3 billion to repair because it was thought to just be to remove the what you call it? The asbestos, but the it's not air conditioning. There's another term, but I'm tired. I've been traveling long. but the ventilation system. Sir, if I had a prize, I would give you ventilation system. But what was recognized is that that was not enough. What has been done is every door, window, every ward, every fitting, every fixture, all electricals, all plumbing, everything, every tile, every ceiling tile, everything has been removed. The external structure and internal structure strengthened with steel and reinforced internally and externally, as well as the creation of 7 new operating theaters, new facilities for nurses and the doctors. There's everything is going to be, we might as well call it a new hospital. And at the same time, what it also has been happening, there's a strengthening of the Western health sector. So there's Noel Homes has gotten some of that, SAV has got some of that, and of course, the Western Children's Regional Hospital is being constructed on the same property by Cornwall Regional. We also had to scope the cost of removing everyone from the hospital and housing them elsewhere and caring for them elsewhere, which had a cost to it. So there has been no overrun. There's been a rescoping of the health sector in the West, including, of course, an entire reconstruction of Cornwall Regional Hospital. I want to give you the information because it's not sexy TikTok info. It just doesn't, there's no video I can, 21 kids. It's not going to work. But I want you to get the facts. And I think that people who make an effort to come after their work to hear, you want to hear facts. So I'm giving you that. And I hope that that will help you when you see things past your social media. Maybe you don't share on, you delete where it is that it doesn't quite add up. But I also want to share that when I spoke about the strengthening of our health clinics, we have done about 100 over the past 5 years. But I wanted to mention that 47 of those, that's the most recent number I have been done with diaspora support under the Adopt a Clinic program. Now, I will say that about 30 have come from Florida. Yes. So maybe JCA, we have to start looking at their A's as well, their award. But I also wanted to share with you that there's massive expansion at Spanish Town Hospital. The new lab is already in place. New wards are being constructed now. Ground has been broken, etc. New ward opened recently on KPH. They now have their new CT scanner. It's being installed. New ward being constructed for Bustamante, plus space for parents to be able to stay where they have physically ill children. The massive expansion to take place at the University Hospital of the West Indies. Again, ground has been broken, so a lot to take place there as well. So things are happening, but buildings, as I said, don't go up overnight. Rome was not built in a day, but the health system that we will have in the region, what we will have for children and adolescent care and what we will have for all levels of care is serious. And I really want to put a call out to you as members of the Jamaican community overseas, those of you in healthcare in every different area, to start to think about how you can come home because we're going to need professionals, more persons in the health system to work in specialized areas, so specialized nurses and specialized doctors in children and adolescent care, because remember, we will be having the best technology and the best facilities that will serve the region. And we want Jamaicans to come home and be a part of that. So I just ask you to stay tuned and to stay close to these projects so that you can look about how you can be a part of it as well. I want to also share that one of the areas in which we have been, by the way, you know that they do robotic surgery at Maypen Hospital? Can you, if you don't know about it and you're like, just go search at some point. A whole different series of surgeries that can now be done with minimal invasion, which means shorter recovery time, less disruption, and less time in hospital and less time in sick bed. So I just want to share with you that good things are happening. Regarding police stations, because again, as I said, the issue of paying down debt and creating more fiscal space is not to be able to celebrate the numbers on a page. It's about being able to do more because you're paying less debt. We have renovated or rebuilt more than 130 police stations. And when we do so, we're not only creating a better workspace for our men and women of the security forces to have better morale and a better sense of commitment, but also to be more efficient and more effective. And importantly, to create better spaces for citizens who use the space. So where you have a sensitive report to make for domestic violence, for example, one time you would come in and the man who is a perpetrator is standing right there. You are writing with the man with the big book and the police pull off because he's not been trained to take the matter seriously. But now we have been training the police on sensitivity, and not only sensitivity, but also how to manage the information and creating private spaces where reports can be made sensitively and confidentially. So that it's not just about the numbers and the infrastructure, it's about how can we do better for people that we serve. And you know, it's good to be a part of the change. And it's a good thing when you come home, especially when you've been away for 20 and 30 years. And you're like, but this road never used to go. People get lost literally, because roads expand, directions change, buildings go up all over the place. You can't orient yourself. But it's all good work and good development because it's creating more opportunities for more Jamaicans and more reasons for you to consider coming back home. That's always my little plug. But these things, again, they take time and they're part of our multifaceted plan. I was talking about the economy, and I did want to say that we're also we've expanded Sissoko. We have youth-friendly spaces in, I believe it's 6 major police stations that have a particularly high level of youth crime, youth conflict with law. They now have youth-friendly spaces or child-friendly spaces, so that we're recognizing that when young people come into conflict with the law, there's a need to engage with them differently if you're going to disrupt the cycle. So it's an area of attention. Most of those spaces have been established with support partly of USAID. But again, it's part of us looking at how we assess the cycle of crime. We have rehabilitation programs as well, because we look at prevention, which is the youth intervention, social programs, all the way to rehabilitation, which is once you're in the correctional system. And there is a new policy, there's a new commissioner that's been established, that's been appointed. There are new programs to be put in place to not only new legislation to punish the carrying contraband, but also systems to prevent communication externally, because we know that's part of the issue with crime, the ability to communicate. Let me just touch briefly, inflation trending down. We know all of you talk about inflation generally because you're dealing with it here as well. Inflation, high inflation is a global problem. We have been back in the central bank's range of 4 to 6%, but just last week, the report said that we had inched up 0.2%, we're at 6.2, so we're out of range now. But post-burial, that could be worse because, of course, cost of food has gone up because the farmers, many farms were just wiped out, crops were just completely wiped out. And that has changed the import cycle, as well as the prices that farmers are charging as they seek to make back their losses. So again, we're just noting the very positive economic environment is causing unprecedented levels of investor interest. And again, this is another reason why we had such strong investor interest demonstrated at the Diaspora conference as well. I just want to mention briefly climate change and natural disasters, although I spoke about burial. I did want to speak a little more broadly about how we are building resilience in this regard. As I said earlier, it's never a question about if, it's when. We spend 6 months of the year in a cycle that where it is, we hope that it won't be as active as they predict, but we are here. And what we have done is built in a layered financing system. We were one of the first countries and the first small country to sponsor our own catastrophe bond. And it's very specific, it's for the worst kind of catastrophe, the worst kind of disaster that can occur, but it exists and we've renewed it for another 3 years. Beyond that, we're participating in the Caribbean Catastrophic Risk Insurance framework facility. Secret, it's a secret. And under that, we have also built our National Disaster Fund and the disaster fund that sits within the Ministry of Local Government, which has always existed under the National Disaster Act. We have also funded our Constitutional Contingency Fund, which had never been funded before. It is funded now, so that there are layers for whether low frequency, high intensity disasters or high frequency, low frequency, high intensity, or low intensity, high frequency. I hope I got that right. High severity and low frequency. You know what I mean. We're covering the scope of disasters that can occur to make sure that we are able to respond quickly without disrupting other government programs. So before, we used to have to just put, you're not building roads anymore, or you're not building that hospital because you have to deal with disaster. We now don't stop, but we have to, because there is access to funding that can help to continue government policies and programs. I want to mention that we are very focused on vulnerable citizens, so we have expanded PATH. We have improved tax relief for pensioners. That has moved from, I think, 80 to 250,000 in terms of the tax credit that can be claimed. The new social pension program is working well, and that has been expanded as well. The new social housing program is delivering to the very, 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 very most vulnerable persons. NHT continues to reduce its funds, provide land for construction, provide construction grants, and to provide special frameworks for persons with disabilities, persons with children with disabilities, as well as other vulnerable groups. We have more pharmaceuticals available on the NHF, and of course include new diseases such as lupus. Even as we promote healthy lifestyles and promote the Know Your Numbers campaign, which encourages people to get tested and get screened, for which there are no concessions and free services provided. so that you can get treatment earlier in the stage of your disease or prevent your disease. And this is, of course, again, to reduce the pressure on the system as well and to promote a healthier population. And I just want to say that concessions are available for breast cancer screening and for prostate screening, as these are the highest causes of death in Jamaica. A lot going on. Youth empowerment. So apart from the removal of all tuition and administration fees at heart for all courses up to associate level, apart from that, there is now an attendance-based stipend. So you get a stipend. We had started to expand the services to be provided, but then the complaint that you kept hearing was that they couldn't find money for transportation or they couldn't find money for lunch. So now there's an attendance-based stipend. You get it if you come to class. You don't just collect at the month. You get it if you come to class. And that is paid on bi-weekly basis, sorry. And as well as a tools grant that when you go up to level 4 with a skill, you get $50,000 to buy tools on your graduation and completion of the course. So when you get to a point, whether you've done cosmetology or welding or any of those technical, you actually get to purchase your tools so you can start your own business. You don't have to look for a job. You can start. So that's another program that is in place. Doing very well. We have a 6-form pathway program to keep children in school just a little bit longer to build some of the skills that they need when they exit. And there's a LIFT program which allows for youngsters to get a stipend, start to earn. They're provided with a job, and they're provided with an enhanced saving program that allows them to learn the soft skills that they don't have in order to get a better job, but to also save so that when their program is finished, they actually have a little nest egg that allows them to transition more easily. In respect of student loans, we've been running long. Sorry, let me finish on this because this is important as well. For student loans, in April this year, we removed the requirement for guarantors for students applying to the Students' Loan Bureau. We had started with removing them from past students, and then we had moved to one because we're managing how it is that the debt profiles occur in this space. And now, in April of this year, we removed the requirement for guarantors entirely. And what we also do is for the most vulnerable low-income applicants, we also provide a grant. And last year, we provided 4,200 applicants to the Student Loan Bureau with grants of $60,000 each to assist their transition into tertiary institution. There's so much more that I can add. We've removed GCT from imported raw food items, including fruits and vegetables, in an effort to try to bring down prices in that regard. And we've added buses, new buses, 100 new buses to the JUTC system. Several were sent to St. James, which have really helped the back to school program there, as well as in Kingston. And there are 100 more that are to come, which is going to significantly change the transport system in Jamaica. And one thing that is important to know is that these buses are compressed natural gas, which cannot be used for anything else. So the losses and theft which have plagued you laugh, but it is the thing that has plagued the JUTC for decades. How to stop the people from thieving the gas? I mean, how do you do it? You get buses that use a different fuel that can't use for anything else. And that is what's in place now, and that will help the stability of the organization, even as we work on its general effectiveness. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. You have to change how you do things to get a different result. You can't keep using the same bus with the same gas oil, and the man down the road uses the same gas oil to run it. Anyway, these are the things. These are the things, but we're working at them. 50 new garbage trucks, again, helping with collection and sanitation. I think I will stop now. But there is so much, and I have not even touched on peace and security. I've not touched on the new family court in St. Anne, the one in St. James. I've not touched on the number of judges that has been improved at appellate Supreme Court and parish court level so that we can start to reduce the backlogs. I cannot stop without mentioning that for the first 2 quarters of this year, we have had a continued downward trend in crime and violence, but we have had a spike with the shooting at Cherry Tree Lane and the one that happened the next week. And I want to just point out to you, I heard just in CARICOM meeting this week that in Barbados, they had a mass shooting, 2 mass shootings. And you know Barbados is one of the calmest communities that you would find in the region. So there's something happening. And Prime Minister has been speaking about it for a while, that there has got to be a different treatment of the influx of illegal guns into our countries, into the region. And we have done quite a bit by expanding our Coast Guard significantly. So our patrol of our marine waters is better. We're improving security at the ports, but more still needs to be done. And we're working with the US on the barriers to export. Some progress has been made, but we believe there is much more to be done. We work with the Canadians as well. But just to be clear, that there has been, I think most of the year we were trending at 15 to 16% in murders down. We can also share that I think robberies were down 15%, rapes were down 32%, and break-ins down 6%. We've had a 14% increase in gun seizures, taking in 422 illegal firearms off our streets, but gangs are still a problem, and that's the problem that's happening across the region, and we're engaging with CARICOM and others about it. I just want to make this call again to the diaspora, to you here, to just spread the word about the export of guns to Jamaica. Canada is not the most, it have to stop. It have to stop. We have to believe that it can stop, and we have to do our best to make it stop. I think there's some things that we just can't give into, and the influx of guns that take lives is one of those things. There's much to say, much more to say, but I think I know I'm going to call this to a close, and thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you so much, Minister. You know, there is a lot that is going on in Jamaica, a lot that is positive. So when things are happening, when the challenges arise, just know that your government is working hard. The people of Jamaica are sacrificing and working hard to make the country what we want it to be. And that's why we value so much the partnership and support of the diaspora, who, though you live here, I know in your heart, Jamaica is home, yes? Definitely, and we can count on your continued support. So thank you, Minister, for going through that tip of the iceberg of what could be in, because I know you worked hard on bringing the statement down, and lo and behold, it was still quite a bit. I'm gonna invite Ms. Lisa Rotten, who is also the Canadian representative on the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council, to comment this time. Because I know that we have questions, we have points, and I know that we are way past our original time. However, we don't want to have this opportunity come without giving you the chance to raise your questions and to get answers that you want. So I'm going to just encourage you to be brief. I'm going to encourage you to be direct as much as possible. Introduce yourself and to give your question, and to guide us through this segment of the program, I'm going to invite Ms. Lisa Rotten to come and to moderate our Q&A. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. We have come to the time where I know that most of you are excited to be here to ask your questions. I want to thank the Minister for bringing that wealth of information to us. We thoroughly enjoyed it. But if you would like to make your way to the microphones at this time, Okay, all right. I would like to just note if we can, yes, to the microphones in the middle of the room. If the questions can be very brief. If the questions can be very brief, we're asking you to limit one question per person. If you have a comment, the same applies. One comment and very brief.
One by one, or should it take one, two? So the time is not with us.
No, I think we do need to indicate that. If you do have to indicate from now that I have another meeting, because I don't want people to feel that I cut them off.
Another meeting that she has to attend to, so
And I'm late for
at 9 p.m. So please.
Try to keep them brief so we can get in as much as possible.
So please be brief, and if somebody else has already asked a question that's similar to yours, please move on. So we'll start. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Christina. I'm president of Ministerial. I'm glad that you mentioned that HC and CG are developing for observances. You know, there's also growing diaspora. And I mentioned to Minister Ceremonial that, you know, I've been part of the diaspora for 10 years, and I've never heard of HC until my 10th year. And my question is, or the point to mention is that is there a specific role for outreach to engage with people and kind of bring them? And if I could ask the audience, who here is under 35? Or people, right? And who's under 25? Okay, right. So I think so I want somebody to meet me halfway, and the people who are not here to bring them here. Yeah, especially even the temporary residents who are currently facing a lot of insecurity. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I just say it was only launched in March of 2020, which is the same month in which we had our first COVID case. So its growth has been maybe a little slower than we might have wanted in terms of developing the institutional strength. But what you have raised is exactly why we created a GJDYC in addition to the GJDC, because before on the Diaspora Advisory Board, you only had, I think, youth representatives, and rather than, from my assessment, you needed more for the breadth of what our young people can deliver. So there's an entire council now. Is the youth representative for Canada. Where is he, Stephen? Just please hold up your hands. So, right, okay. But outreach is part of their role. And how we do that? Mostly social media, because it's the best way to reach the most people in the furthest areas to bring them together. Programming that, however, still is a work in progress. So I want to let you know that it is on the agenda and it is part of the vision. So we will get there. We'll get there.
Hi, Minister. Thank you for joining us. My name is Nicole Hansen. I have a question that relates to the nation building of Jamaica, as it relates to the development. For some of us very skilled professionals, I'm an environmental planner. We want to enter into the market and support the nation building as it relates to providing housing for the missing middle, upgrading and servicing infrastructure, and master planning communities. And I'm not just talking about the wonderful investment communities along the North Coast, but existing communities that require vitalization and community communication. What is your plan to engage professionals who are trying to enter into that marketplace? Because in contacting government organizations and dealing with members of the public and private sector, it's been difficult. There's been little to no response. 3 months for them to respond to the issue. And even in terms of the procurement process, is there a priority for professionally skilled Jamaicans abroad that want to come home to participate in the nation building? What is your plan?
As Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. I'll touch on it, but go ahead. They're suggesting I take a few questions and then answer.
Me, I'm all encouraged that and I just wanted to find out if you have a habitat for you in Jamaica and how is it supporting Jamaica? And a global habitat, are you connected with them in terms of housing?
One more? Yeah. One more question?
My name is Mojo Wells, and Minister, I want to welcome you to Canada, and just want to extend to the Prime Minister congratulations on being awarded. And it's a major achievement. We're very proud of that, and when it's able to do these sort of things while still needing to manage the affairs of the country, achievement. Our question has to do with recently the Institute of Jamaica, said recently that we're not going to meet the matrix in order to become a first-world country by 2030. And that's for us who are in the diaspora, it's a major disappointment. So what I would like to know is what are our plans or what are the things in order to address the shortcomings in order to meet the matrices that would put us in a state of first world.
Thank you very much for that. Let me just take these first three, and then I'll move to the next, and hopefully we can make as much progress as we can by that. Your question, ma'am, about entry into the space of planning. I must say that I didn't understand all of it because it seems to be highly technical and spanning different types of engagement. Sorry? Thank you. Yes, so you're speaking about planning. I think we probably need to have a more one-on-one conversation because there's no single program for diaspora investment. When we have a biennial diaspora conference, for example, real estate is one of the biggest areas. NEPA was there, NRCA was there, UDC was there, every planning agency, institution, and body related to doing business in Jamaica was there. And that's the way, what we call our government one-stop shop, is the facilitation that we provide for persons to come and get the information they need directly and firsthand. But there are also other ways in which you can engage. The procurement policy does not single out diaspora expressly. It does provide for, I believe, a small business component in the that's, I believe, a discount in the program, but the procurement policy is on the Ministry of Finance website, so you can check that out. Habitat for Humanity, I'm not sure if they are still active in Jamaica. To engage through the UN Habitat, which I believe is a new, but they're not located in Jamaica. But through the UN multi-country office system, remember they now have a new system where all of the bodies fall under one. We do engage with them through UNDP, and they are in fact a part of the burial response. Right, so thank you for that. Gentleman with Vision 2030. Vision 2030, which we had before the UN Agenda 2030 was created. Ours started in 2009. Theirs was approved in 2015, but we are 93% aligned with the targets. So achieving Vision 2030 and the efforts to do so are aligned with the efforts to achieve the UN SDGs Agenda 2030. Those are off track as well. The fact is that the world has been impacted by not only economic shocks and wars and conflicts, but the pandemic severely impacted economies across the world and affected social spending as well. We've done very well at home in terms of expanding social spending, but at the same time, all our targets, not all our targets, many of our targets are off. We are actually at 60-something% in terms of where we are, or the number of targets that are on track, which is one of the highest, if not the highest, in the Caribbean. So there's a lot of effort that goes into it, but the world has been thrown off track. So the work continues. In fact, it will be interesting when we go to the UN to how it is that that issue is rescoped. What I can share with you is that Prime Minister Holness has been invited by the Secretary General, together with PM Trudeau, to co-chair a SDG stimulus leaders of 12 leaders, or that is leaders of 12 countries, to meet and discuss how it is that we're going to get SDG spending stimulated globally. He was asked to join that grouping and to co-chair about 3 months ago. So going into the UN now, that will be one of the agenda items as well for Jamaica.
Will we get an update?
But you can check PIOJ's website as well. Sorry, thank you. Check PIOJ's website.
I am a very appreciative person. I'm a former member of the GCF, and in January, I on the international stage at the University of Jamaica. I am a proud one, and one of the things that I'm really passionate about is education. I heard you mention a few things, but a number of things that you have in place to elevate, and I applaud you and the team for doing that. But my mission, basically, my contribution to Jamaica is to use my non-profit organization to assist PCS or learning in terms of reading the digital divide. I'm looking forward to implement a computer app in a school in our West London. A success of that means going on to another school and another school. So my question is there anything that your team can facilitate with? Or what is it that you have to think that I need to do the drawings for and see if we can make that mission come alive. As you know, after COVID, the literacy rates have been affected because of that.
Yes, go through again. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Minister. My name is Anika Lisa Francis, and I am the newly appointed Mrs. Universe Jamaica Queen. We'll be representing our beautiful island on the global stage. So I would like to first introduce our organization. We are 4 years old, and even on that stage, we're still infantry. So I would like to know how your team would be able to help us to go on the international stage, where we are representing the entire island in this category of misses. We want to break preconceived notions of what beauty is. I'm 5 feet tall and I'm nowhere near skinny, and I'm going to represent for all the women over 40 that is in relationships that have children on a global stage. I have been invited to South Korea on October 2nd to go against 90 countries. And Jamaica is little but with Talawa, and I believe with the support of your team and the Diaspora and every single Jamaican in here that is proud, that you guys can support our organization so that I can show up and the future queens can show up and represent Jamaica on such a global stage. We will be competing against 110 very beautiful, skinny women, and I know for a fact with my charisma, my intelligence, my tenacity, and that tower that Jamaica has built in me, I will represent properly. So is there any space among all the wonderful infrastructure things that we spoke about tonight? Is there any space for such a thing as pageantry for your team?
Thank you for that. Congratulations. Just a gentle reminder, if we can keep it really short because there's a big lineup behind us. I'm just going to read out one online question that we have so far. There is a lack of access to consular service and diplomatic support due to the absence of a Jamaican honorary consul in the city of Halifax. Why is this so? And given the significance and growing Jamaican immigrants in the community in Nova Scotia and the Maritime, can we expect that this will change in the very near future?
All right, let me start with the last one first to say that this is something that we have on the agenda. That is not a promise that it will happen in short order, but our consular network is always under review. And what this in fact was discussed with High Commissioner earlier, because what we do have to do is get the data in from the community to understand the size of it, because a case has to be made to the government of Canada for the establishment of an honorary consul there. And then there's a process that we go through, but that is, of course, the sort of foundational element. So as we're always reviewing our consular corps, and in fact, we have expanded it since I became minister, and we've refreshed it as well and implemented new terms of service, etc. So it's something that we continue to consider as very important, and we will look at that. I know HC will be in touch with the community on that matter. It's important. Thank you. And the second one was Mrs. Universe. Congratulations, ma'am. And everyone here joins me in wishing you every success. Talawa success. That is what we are calling down for you. Absolutely. We don't necessarily have an element that deals with pageantry, which you have so beautifully phrased it. But I want to say we can think about if there's a way in which we can, at the very least, certainly recognize that this competition takes place, to recognize your victory at this stage to represent us, and to promote that as a start. Which can, I suppose, part of that will deal with visibility and credibility that may help you with sponsorship. So let's look at that as a first step. And then, so former Mrs. Mrs. as well? Yes, right, very good. And congratulations on representing us so far overseas. And thank you for your service to the JCF as well. Just to say that, so far as I'm aware, our literacy rate has not fallen, thankfully. However, it still needs work and we need to make it higher. But getting devices into rural schools is always a positive thing. We have a program going, and the Universal Service Fund funds the e-learning company Jamaica that helps with not only procurement in terms of getting value, but bringing them in. There's a process through the National Education Trust that allows you to partner with the institution to which you're donating, so that you can get a waiver of some of your taxes, the import. I think you don't pay any customs duty. Right, but there's a process. And the process is online, National Education Trust, Jamaica, so that you can see what you need to do, but engage, and they will help you, because undoubtedly there are lots of little young minds who would really benefit from your devices, and we're providing more content online to reduce the cost on parents for books. Take up is slow, but we hope that with more programs like yours, more parents will be encouraged to download the content rather than buying expensive books. So thank you very much for your contribution.
Honorable Minister, I just want to say I'm very proud of the efforts that your administration is making for building Jamaica's comeback to support our first, which I've been doing a whole lot. And, I'm really proud. Specific reference to independent central bank.
Yes.
It is more you have contributors to housing development and so on and so forth. So you can see where you're making steps both at the macro and micro levels, the national and local levels. But I think it's kind of anecdotal. But there seems to be some competition or a downturn in parks and recreation in Jamaica. And with the crime levels, we have to try and augment the system from as many angles as possible. And I just want to find out if there's anything that you're going to put in place to really strengthen the cooperation between national government and local government, to have a more methodical approach to putting in place appropriate parks and recreation facilities for the community. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't want to be too long.
I didn't want to either, but I went on.
when I was born.
Well, first of all, I'm going to compliment the Council of General because since the last he has been involved in Canada, his communication with the community has been phenomenal. So thank you for my question is that there's two things in life that you do that one of you are. It's how to manage money and how to manage relationships. And the lady who talked about financial education, that's one of my businesses. I'll talk about this. But I went to Jamaica in 2022 December, and I met the minister of the National Housing Trust. And my partner was here, Michael, and he's a developer to develop housing and sustainable development. And I do all the funding for him. And we've been trying to find for land to patch to build houses down there. We found 400 acres out in I think it was a place, and speak to the minister and National Housing Trust and said, don't criminals. So we're looking for places where we can build land, we can build housing, we have the money, we have the system, housing, we can't find the landowners to make us. So I don't know what I speak to. My question, how do I get in touch with them?
Okay. Okay, the third.
Are there any online?
Hey, my name is Alvin. My question is relating to passport. And a number of people have been in touch with me. I know though they can get the new birth certificate, because it is known that you cannot get a passport unless you have the new birth certificate. I experienced that down in Jamaica. I'm trying to get around stuff on it. It's taking me. So I would like you to clear that up to as to whether the policy is true or not.
You want to start with that one? Let me first, okay. Mr. Telford, I'm going to have CG Davis respond to you. Because we know, of course, you can now apply for your birth certificate online. But if there are complications in your matter, sometimes you have changed your name, sometimes you have papers in one name and others in another. It makes the birth certificate process more difficult. So I'm presuming that when you ask about the policy, it's because there's a complicated matter. But I'll ask CG to add any specifics to that in respect of their relationship with the passport. Certainly, if you have a machine-readable passport, just an online process, you upload your photo, etc. But if you have the old passport, then that there are more steps that you need to go through in terms of, because the database has to be updated. But it's not impossible, and there's no problem we can't find a way to solve. So we're going to discuss that after. Parks and markets. Parks and recreation. Parks and recreation. There is in fact a policy to seek to have green spaces in every parish across the country, because we do share your view that having spaces for families and communities to just relax, for any young person to just go and know they can safely be and just hold a meds or whatever, just that is a necessary thing. It does take management, it does take strategy, it does take land, appropriate land arrangements, and that's part of the challenge across parishes. Portmore Resilience Park is under construction now, and it is expected to do exactly that. Harmony Beach is exactly that for St. James, and you cannot, I've not been there once, because every time I go there, the line is too long. So but just to say that there are efforts, along with the upgrading of free beaches, also taking place now under the National Beach Policy. So there's a recognition that there is a well-being quotient to green spaces and free green spaces and beaches So that is definitely something that is being looked at now. I cannot say if it is about local versus central, but I do know that work and that policy development is also at play.
Development, identify land.
Identification of land. Identification of land. What I do want to share is that we are working on a land bank, and that is the intention is to put all the land that's available for purchase in Jamaica online, so that you can just, if you're an investor, you can find it. You don't need to know somebody. You don't need to know who to find. With procurement process, etc. But part of this is also recognizing that we have a lot of unregistered land and you have a lot of illegally occupied land. So there is a geospatial assessment that is taking place across the island. We're working with Korea and South Korean technology to actually map a lot of the land spaces and to title a lot of the lands that are not titled as part of this process. But that is something that is coming. Other than that, in terms of direct contact with NHD, etc., that's probably maybe a conversation you can have with either CG or HC about trying to remake a connection for you. Okay? Yeah, I hope that's helpful.
Okay, so we're going to start with 2 more questions. You can time check really quick, and then we have 1 more question from online. Go ahead.
Who is the Jamaican Consulate General for Canada? You are. You never answer your phone. You never get any of the Jamaicans here. That's my experience. So you don't tell me what you had experience. I have been trying to contact you for a long time because I need information to help the Jamaicans, because the federal government has taken the visa restrictions off the islands from all the other islands except Jamaica. And I want to find out what is the reason why Jamaica was not included in taking off the visa restrictions. The Jamaicans here have families down there that need to come and they need to go there. And Jamaicans are one of the people that came to Canada a long time and helped Jamaica resources in setting up the barrel and their money. And now they're not getting help to have their family process in the immigration process. So all right, let me ask you, this is the question. What is the reason why Jamaica was not included in the visa restrictions taken off Jamaica?
I think I can start that. That one.
I have been an immigration officer. I worked in the federal government for 42 years. I understand the communities for the federal government. So let me tell you something. It's not all Jamaicans are idiots. They know what's going on. And you are responsible for letting the Jamaicans know what is right and what is wrong. And we can't find you, but I'm going to find you.
Let me just take this question first. And ma'am, the truth is not that you're going to find him. The good news is that you have found him. He's right here. He is right here. And I'm glad you've been able to give him a piece of your mind, because that is always the first step to having the next conversation. Now, the issue came up last year when Canada went through this decision. And let me first take poor CG Davis off of the hook, because it's not, well, not in respect of not answering your phone. He needs to answer your phone, right? But in respect of the matter of Canadian issuance of visas to Jamaicans, he doesn't have any authority in respect of that matter. Actually, I can share some of that with you, because what happened when that decision was made, I actually called in the Canadian High Commissioner to Jamaica to discuss with her the circumstances. And I've actually shared some of this information publicly, including by way of radio and YouTube, etc., to try to ensure that the information was shared as widely as possible with persons who are interested in it. The unfortunate thing is that it's not a good story, because Jamaicans were one of the highest levels of refusals among applicants for Canadian visas for different reasons, including incomplete documentation, including using unauthorized agents to apply for the visas, using the applications of groups to mask the applications of individuals who would not otherwise be authorized to access such visas. There are, I think, some regrettable circumstances in terms of persons who apply for tourist visas, and then when they land, they apply for refugee status in different circumstances, which have led to a higher level of scrutiny because of the percentage of the overall application base comprised by that grouping, as opposed to other countries. So these are serious and difficult issues that are not manageable by a government, meaning there is nothing that I can do to correct that. However, I have engaged about keeping our status under review, and this is one of the matters that I had to raise because this was last year. We have shared information. We have encouraged the Canadian High Commission to also share information, including on the website, adding the authorized agencies so that people are aware that it's not like with the US that you can just go to any travel agent. There are only certain authorized agents. And if you go to other persons, it affects our statistics. And there is an algorithm that affects how we are seen as Jamaicans. And remember, all of these things are technology. So it's behind the screen, it's a numbers game. So that the decision making is not as personal as you would want it to be. It doesn't consider our bunununusness. It doesn't consider our talawaness. It doesn't consider the positive nature of the community here. So this is something that we will continue to work on. It is something that's important to us because you recognize that you have families who you want to be able to visit easily, even as you go and come, ease in the other direction. But it is a difficult issue, one that I don't even love talking about, but
It's happening all over the world.
And all over the world.
And still, these countries that African also, they remove the visa restrictions from these countries. Jamaica have a lot of criminal activity, just like Canada, just like every other country, just like all the other islands. So
advocacy is very helpful.
still have visa restrictions.
Well, one of the
Thank
reasons
you.
why Jamaica may not actualize this reality is that Jamaica openly, unlike Barbados, is moving towards independence, meaning that more of an ally with the United States and so Canada. So
More in
All right, so I think we'll move to the next question. Well, thank you, sir. Let's go to the next question.
My name is Andrea, and I came to this meeting today because I have some questions, and I think it's really important. You've answered quite a lot of the answers to why I'm here. And I came with her, she invited me, I've never anything like this. I really think Canadian as a child. My question is, how can Jamaica control the travel agency? I'm going to tell you a quick story. No, it's really important. My story is, my cousin died this year. We had a travel agency, $30,000 Jamaican dollars. This travel agency. She was given a receipt that she has got and has not come to this country. So my question to you is, I've traveled to all the Caribbean islands. I just came back from Bahamas. Excellency, why is Jamaica doesn't have a system where you have these, as you just said, these bogus travel agency? Why can't Jamaica, that is so, how can I say, that is so educated in so many different ways, have a system that is set up, that when the countries from Jamaica, they have the equal opportunity, like Bahamas, like Barbados, like Grenada, like all these other West Indian islands coming to this country. That's my
decision. The receipt from the travel agency when they're doing the processing and then they don't get through.
We can take one more, but literally then, I'm so sorry to the people behind the line.
Well, good evening, honorable yes, I am a Richmond. In my hand here, Councilor Stacey Hill, Indigenous liaison. I first meeting with Yoni, her question, her instruction to me, whether when I come in contact with any person could reach out to her. And a few years ago, I was a graduate of an international program. And I finished by Curriculum Canada to speak to an international audience, which most, a lot of was Jamaican constable. And so it is that my question to you is, how can we initiate throughout the nation, liaison officers are mediating in most to mediate and to the consulate and offices and being also one of the two individuals here that is a member of the Technological Society, whereby obtain the regulation of international affairs. How can consulate to see the culture and the way of dealing medical illness? So,
thank you. Hold on my question. We'll answer that question, and then we do unfortunately cut out the mic. If you want to see, you can send me your questions, and I will then answer.
Yes, just to thank everyone again on the matter just raised. What I'm going to recommend, where did the gentleman go? Here you are. Just going to recommend that you speak with Mr. Juna, Kevin Juna. He is the National Security Director on the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council, and widely experienced and understands a lot of these issues, and probably will be a very good person to maybe give you some ideas and to share some thoughts about how to move your concerns forward. So thank you very much for your question. And allow me to thank everybody for theirs and to apologize to the persons who were behind the last person in the line. Please, I encourage you, send your questions in so that we can try to answer them for you. You made the effort to come here, and I value that. So I really would like to be able to do that. And I regret that we had to draw the line. But thank you everyone for coming, and let's hand back over.
For anybody who doesn't want to any question, you can send it into PNDC Canada at gmail.com. I will make sure that it is for you. It's at the bottom of the banner here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Just before we wrap, I know Minister has to go.
That's very good of you. I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
I don't know